But just take a look at the scores. There was absolutely nothing between them. But it means that Leeds have a 4-point advantage over the field. Warrington are hoping to peg that back tonight. Harlequins have lost 3 in a row. They've slid down the table, but they are still clinging on to a place in the top 6. Now the Catalan Dragons are going for a 4th straight victory against Hull FC in Perpignan tonight, which means there are 2 to finish the weekend off tomorrow. Both kick off at 3, Bradford Castleford and Hull Kingston Rovers against Huddersfield. Well, it's another very damp night in the northwest. Warrington Wolves have Hicks operating at full-back tonight. Then they go Riley, Gleeson, King and Penny, Vinnie Anderson for the injured Breers, and Monaghan, who comes back from injury. The forwards, Morley the skipper, Clark and Rauhihi, Johnson, Westwood and Braycheck. And the bench, Mark Gleeson, Parker, Pickersgill and Mitchell, coach Paul Cullen. Now the Quins, Wells at full-back, Sharif, Clubb, Howell and Sharp, Henry Paul, Julian Rinaldi. Forwards, Tamata, Randall, Maboo, Purdham the skipper, Warrency and Barker. And on the bench, Melling, Haggerty, Gratian and Walsh, coaches Brian McDermott. Well, the Harlequins down to the bare bones, but Brian McDermott, the coach, says he is proud to be using so many young English players in his squad tonight. They won 4 in a row earlier this year, for the first time since 2005, incidentally, but they arrive in Warrington looking to halt a 3-match losing sequence. Now, victory will give them their best start to a Super League season. 7 from 9 it would be. 7 from 10 is their best, 1996. A 100% Easter for Warrington, but Harlequins, they lost both of their bank holiday fixtures. Warrington looking for a 3rd consecutive win for the 2nd time this year, and to consolidate their place inside the top 2. Richard Silverwood is the referee here, and I'm sure he had a very close look at the surface, because there is water standing in parts. It has been such a wet afternoon here, it hasn't been funny, but well, the ground is fit to play, and it's Harlequins who are going to get us underway, and Chad Randall's boot does that. Conditions, Steve-O, tonight critical to the outcome.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to some dry weather very soon, and I'm sure that after a very hard and strong Easter period, that a lot of these players that'll be out there tonight will be suffering somewhat with a little bit of fatigue, though it's important for both sides to stamp their authority, especially in the forwards, very early in this game.
Paul Rauhihi trying to do that for Warrington right now. Could be his last hurrah in 2008. He is 34 years of age, and he wants to bow out in some style. That was John Clark. This is Adrian Morley, and there's the first penalty of the night. Harlequins caught offside at the play the ball.
Well, it seems to be the trend, doesn't it, with the official, but you could see there that there was 2 or 3 that had stepped well in front of Richard Silverwood. It'll be an important game, of course, for both sides in regards to that, oh, that's a mistake, that'll be play on. Just to the fact that, you know, Lee Breer's not out there for Warrington. Good kicking game, that'll be missing tonight. And same with Harlequins, they're without Danny Orr and Scott Hill. It'll be interesting to see who takes the responsibility in the kicking department on either side.
Well, this is Joe Maboo for Harlequins. Warrington surrendering the ball on halfway, giving Quins this chance, and John Wells joining the line from full-back. That's the 3rd tackle. Chad Randall is the hooker and dummy half, and he goes around Rauhihi, who had a grab at him and missed him. Braycheck and Clark are there, but Harlequins are 11 metres away from the Warrington line. And Rob Purdham, the Harlequin skipper, in at dummy half now, flicks the ball to Henry Paul. Oh, it just shows you what an awful quagmire of a pitch this is. The ball hit the deck there. Paul put a kick in, it never moved. Look.
On the pudding, wasn't it? Simple as that. Never even got anywhere near the oven. That's a penalty given away to Warrington. That's 2 on the trot. Brian McDermott, the Harlequins coach, will be far from impressed from that. And they were lucky to get away with a kick. Wasn't the best to the touchline.
And in situations like this, it's probably the team with the outside backs who can best players forward that will go on to win this game. You maybe need to resist the temptation to move the ball around. That's a temptation that comes more frequently to the Warrington side, who have some wonderful and quick outside backs. And sometimes it's about being tough and being down the middle. Interesting that Warrington to want to play a high tempo on the quick restarts they've gone so far. They want to keep the pace in the game.
Monaghan's pass found Chris Hicks, 10 tries, Super League's top try scorer after 8 rounds of 2008. This now is Vinnie Anderson. Vinnie Anderson trying to get through the tackle.
Interesting to see how Vinnie Anderson handles the standoff position. He's played there before, and yet another mistake. I'm afraid we're going to get plenty of those tonight.
Well, we are. The kick from Monaghan this time, not the best, and that's why Harlequins have got the ball here.
We never really got boot to ball, completely lost control of it. It is going to be a slog. We saw that last night.
Here we did. It was very, very heavy at St Helens, and it's going to be likewise here in Warrington, I think. Not too far geographically between the two towns, and at Bill Arthur, not too much difference in the pitch that we're seeing.
Not at all, Eddie. If anything, this is even squelchier than last night. It's had torrential rain all day, and the ball is just splatting into the pitch and sitting down. Billy Peden, conditioner for the Harlequins, out beforehand, was up to his ankles, literally up to his ankles in parts of the pitch during the warm-up. It is that bad. But Paul Cullen beforehand was speaking to him and saying, you've got to get onto it. He's had no complaints about the game being played on this pitch, irrespective of it being on television. He said, you'd get on with it and just deal with the conditions.
Well, you have to, as Leeds and St Helens and Wigan and Wakefield had to do last night. Looks there as though Henry Paul has been absolutely flattened in that tackle. That's the condition underfoot. And Henry Paul, I think it was a clash of heads.
It appeared that way, yeah. Mabou, I think, is...
Or is it Dwayne Barker who's gone down? Oh, Dwayne Barker it is, yes.
His own player, Mabou. Treatment on the run, he seems to be okay.
There's Monaghan, just outside the 40-metre line, and the kick will run touch in goal. So Harlequins will restart with a tap on the 20-metre line. It's a night not for faint hearts, Barry.
No, it's a night for the forwards, and as Phil mentioned, everybody perhaps maybe stays at the same pace, and as forwards, it's nice to see those quicker backs, a little bit slower, not as confident with the footwork, and you know, there's going to be plenty of errors, there's going to be plenty of shots trying to be put on and the ball dislodged, because one thing that will have been mentioned is the greasiness of the ball.
4 straight home wins for Warrington. That's provided the foundation for their excellent start to the season. But they know that they reached a pretty low ebb when Harlequins were last in town, middle of last season. The crowd underneath us here stayed behind afterwards to boo the Warrington players and coach off the field, and it doesn't get much lower than that when you're given the round to the kitchen by your own supporters, and they don't want a repeat if they possibly can. Rinaldi was hit after or rather as the kick came in.
Oh, they've allowed it to bounce.
Horrible bounce, wasn't it?
Good job that Penny was there. Never really made any chance for it, did he? Penny came to the rescue. It really is a quagmire out there, and you know, in games like this, it's pretty important, especially with the forwards, say, look, you may as well get your jumper jersey really wet through early. Then you just forget about it, get involved in the hard stuff, and not standing square.
Well, that's the third penalty that Harlequins have conceded.
It's becoming routine, and it was very poor play there. Mabou, the man not thinking really, and you've got to do that, because it's all about field position. In fact, that last set of 6 from Harlequins is the first time on both sides that they've actually waited until the final play the ball to get the kick away. 2 balls on the park.
As referee wants the second one kicked away. There's Brian McDermott all wrapped up against the weather. Henry Paul making sure that he was back in position actually before he cleared the ball off the field. He got a bit of a razz from the crowd, but I think that's fair enough. If the man called on to get rid of the other football, wouldn't have blamed Warrington if they'd have started quicker than him getting back into the line of defence. So fair enough.
Another good run.
John Clark. Here is Rauhihi.
Just saying, another good run there by the standoff Vinnie Anderson.
He's lost the ball as Rauhihi.
Well, it was an excellent tackle by Henry Paul, and I think Harlequins' hopes tonight, Eddie, rest on the direction provided by Randall, Purdom and Paul, who were outstanding in defeat at Bradford last week. And I suppose the combined effort and determination from the other 10 players they have on the field at that time. They're a dangerous team to play against because I've so little expected them here tonight, missing key players, and yet really with a chance.
Picked up. That's Julian Rinaldi, I think, is it? Yes, it is. Picked up Julian Rinaldi and dumped him to the ground on his head.
Ben Westwood got him up and then bounced down. Dropped him, to be fair, to start with, and then followed it through. Oh, we felt that. The Frenchman playing in the unfamiliar role of halfback.
He also trapped his head between his knees, didn't he?
Yeah, it's to be fair to Westwood, he did drop him first, didn't pile drive him through.
Referee shouts,
Play
held.
on.
No, he shouted held, and he's given Harlequins the penalty.
Well, a bit fortunate there. You've got to give full credit to the Warrington defence.
He shouted held at Richard Silverwood, so he says. Tackle was completed and Warrington carried on with pushing the Harlequins man towards the sideline, hence the penalty.
Did well to release this.
Over 10.
But he was on his way to the line, he knew that, didn't he?
He released it, but he didn't know where he was passing it.
Westwood in very quickly, again.
Hasn't he adapted to the forward role? He really has. Put the shoulder to the grindstone.
That was Michael Warrency there who played the ball. This is Rinaldi. He made his name as a hooker, really, Julian Rinaldi, but is operating as the scrum half here tonight. And as Steve-O says, Danny Orr, Scott Hill, Mark McClendon, all out injured. There's space here for Rinaldi to try and exploit, but the pass out wide was looking for Dwayne Barker.
Well, Barker just had a little look to see that Kevin Penny was coming in on the angle. In these conditions, you really can't do a snap pass. You've got to be nice and flowing with it.
Everything's got to be soft hands, hasn't it? Flop pass, you're running onto it at pace. As Dwayne Barker's tried to change direction before he's caught the ball. As I said, the greasiness of the ball is going to be a real problem tonight.
It's a penalty here at the scrum to Harlequins. Rob Purdom has asked Richard Silverwood what's going on.
I decide when the ball's out. Listen, they can't hold it in the back. The counter didn't.
Well, to be fair to the officials, over the last couple of weeks, they are making it quite clear that you've got to get onside throughout the game. I don't know how long it's going to get through to the players' minds.
At what point, Steve, do we say that the rule's not working? And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's getting frustrated with the whistle going every couple of minutes.
Well, apparently at Wigan last night there were 32 penalties in the game between Wigan and Wakefield, and that would have been a frustrating night for all concerned. But the coaches say, Barry, you know, if there are 80 penalties in the match, that the referee blow for all 80.
Well, I don't go to rugby league matches to watch the referee. I go to see skill, power and pace like Adrian Morley's showing us there.
Fair comment, but if they transgress, they have to be penalised. Anyway, that's a debate maybe for boots and all. Monaghan's kick bounces all over the place. It's a knock on, and it's Harlequins head and ball, says referee Richard Silverwood.
And that's the right decision as well, because there's no advantage. Just a little touch there.
Yep. Touch.
The two games that were played in Super League last night and the scorelines at the end of those matches, I've got to tell both of these players here, you need to have so much patience. 10 minutes have only gone in the game, and I guess players expecting to score. I mean, in an average Super League game throughout the season, there are 8 tries scored. That won't be the case here tonight, and it takes a degree of patience mentally as well to build and wait to get into that opportunity.
I think I couldn't agree with you more, Phil, especially in regards to Harlequins. Even on a dry day, they work very, very... Oh, that's a bad error. He got back in time. But even on a dry day, Harlequins always just make their way into a good position, and it's when they get into attacking red zone that they'll come up with something different.
That's Will Sharp, who played that ball. He's 21 years of age, Nigerian born but brought up in Bradford. Will Sharp. This is Chad Randall. A good run from him, and that's a knock on from David Howell.
Do you know, it's not the skill level that drops on days like this, it's the confidence, and that's a decent pass. But 3 Harlequins players, none of them were prepared to stick the neck out and try and catch that ball.
Howell ever present, he's been looking quality throughout the course of the opening 8 rounds of the Super League programme this year. Warrington waiting for the ball to come back from the crowd, and they will restart on halfway with Paul Rahihi here. He plays it to John Clark, and Morley will drive the ball forward for them.
It's going to be important also for both sets of forwards to realise that they've got to share the work. You can't have just 1 or 2 doing it, because you're going to run out of petrol very quickly.
That's what the subs are for, Steve, though. These days, another error. These days, players are told to just go out, rip in and go as fast and hard as you can.
The longer the game goes, the better this is without any points for Harlequins. Morley and Rahihi are the 2 big goal-forward players for Warrington. Eventually, they're going to take a break in this first half, which sort of evens things up a bit with Harlequins, who are outsized and probably outpowered at times in the middle of the field. They've just got to stay in there and grind away, hang on for the tough opening quarter.
This is Henry Paul, and it was a decent attempt by Braychek, finished off. This is Purdom.
Tremendous responsibility on the shoulders of Purdom, and of course the experienced Henry Paul.
Actually, that was Chris Melling, Steve. My mistake. Apologies for that. Chris Melling with the first drive forward. Good to see Chris Melling back and involved. Great Britain international.
Yeah, back the 10.
There's Henry Paul. That's Chad Randall at dummy half, and Carl Temata. Good tackled by Westwood again.
Now, will they give it air, or will they try to just kick it into the pudding?
Up it goes from Purdom's boot, and that will plop into the ground but bounce harmlessly over the dead ball line.
He'll be satisfied, Brian McDermott.
He texted me yesterday, said just make sure it's dry in Warrington tonight. Well, he didn't get his wish, did he?
Well, I've had my fingers crossed for several weeks. It has been atrocious, and full credit to all players concerned to continue at a pretty high level as well.
By the way, if you're thinking of going to any of those games tomorrow, the 2 games that are scheduled, the one at Bradford and the one at Hull Kingston Rovers, the clocks spring forward an hour tonight. British summertime begins in the early hours of the morning, so make sure you push your clock forward. Don't be late for the 3 o'clock kickoffs. This is John Clark. Nice bit of skill in these conditions, but he was brought to ground, and now Monaghan will drill the kick behind Will Sharp. The ball has bounced clear, and John Wells has tied it up.
Just realised it, Wells, at the very last moment, that perhaps he could have been pinned for a voluntary tackle. They laid off him. That's a pretty good defence, so that's the advantage of having a man like Michael Monaghan in your side. There's a neat little kick into the corner.
Monaghan with that tackle on Ricky Sherry.
That's a good shot.
Good hit that by Ben Westwood.
Great line speed, great contact, finished it. Dominated that player, bought that extra second for his defensive line.
Great set of 6 for Warrington defensively here, and the kick to try and get Harlequins out of trouble. Hicks is underneath it, claims it easily under no pressure, and Melling got to him, and with a little help from Tony Clubb, he was brought to ground. Now here's Matt King.
3 quarters, they've also got to realise they've got to do a little bit of work as well.
I know it rains in Australia, Steve. I know it's quite cold in Australia, but do you think Matt King has ever experienced anything like this pitch?
When he goes down to Melbourne and Canberra, yes, he would have experienced that sort of thing, but not on a weekly basis. He must be thinking, come on, where's the current bun?
John Clark finds Vinnie Anderson. Vinnie Anderson takes Warrington up the middle on the last tackle, 20 metres away. Quick play the ball to Clark. Here is Monaghan. Crossfield, angle kick. Well claimed, but was he taken out in the air, the Harlequins defender? I think he possibly was, and that's what Henry Paul is claiming. And I think the referee has just asked for a bit of advice here from Ian Smith, tonight's video referee.
And it's not a bad option either, because the experienced Henry Paul said, well, surely he's got to have made an impact, and Hicks did that.
Yeah, Hicks tackled him in the air.
That should be a penalty.
Penalty to Harlequins on their own line.
For an outstanding attacking side like Warrington, though, I think they've shown great discipline. The last two occasions they've had the ball, they've just punched down the middle of the field. Big, strong one-out carries to get them going forward. And then they found that kick play. They're trying to build some pressure at this end of the field.
Sadly, the weather affected last night's match in terms of flamboyant skill at St Helens between Saints and Leeds, but it was a gripping contest for all of that, and I think the weather's conspiring here to make this a real slog, isn't it? It's a night of stamina that's needed, Barry.
And it's probably a new thing to some of these players. Those of us old enough to have played in both winter and summer rugby will know that there was a definite difference. The grip on the ball was a lot stickier. You could show more skill, but sometimes you've almost got two hands on the ball in these conditions.
This is Vinnie Anderson now. This is Rob Purdom now. And Randall to Rinaldi, who'll stab it down the line. And this is a great chance here for Harlequins. The ball, though, spins away off Howell. And did Chris Riley get a hand to that first? What's the referee's decision going to be here? I think it was off the Harlequins' hand, wasn't it?
I think you're right, Eddie. This will be head and feed to the Wolves, but quick thinking there by the halfback Julian Rinaldi. Kicking early in the tackle, realising that Chris Riley perhaps just didn't get back in time. Reacted well, though, eventually. Not just the weather, you know, last night it was driving rain. Oh, beautiful pass to Anderson.
It was.
I'm just saying about the driving rain last night, that isn't the problem here tonight, but the ground is so heavy that after a while your legs start getting tired. It's like running through cement.
This is Rauhihi. 18 minutes of the match gone. Plays the ball to Clark. Here is Johnson. Johnson goes down. Fourth tackle. Clark again. Morley will take Warrington over halfway. That's the last coming up here.
What a defensive effort there by Chris Melling. He's involved with everything when it comes to defensive qualities from the Quins.
Not the best kick. Not the best kick, that, from Michael Monaghan. But he's got some points back, but now he has not got any points back because he came in for a second snap at Ricky Sherif.
Well, I don't know why he's shaking his head. He did everything right. He said, right, you've tackled me, and then did me again. That sort of indicates, and I don't think that Mr. Cullen is shaking his head at the man with the whistle. That's good thinking by the fullback, John Wells. Warrington, they just hung back. They were just expecting the kick. It didn't come.
The longer this game goes on, the greater Harlequins' confidence becomes. That's a good spin and go from Gareth Haggerty.
Never played that ball.
Well, hands in at the rock, a penalty to Harlequins.
John Clark.
There's a culprit, according to the man with the whistle, Richard Silverwood. And
he dropped that ball.
He dropped it completely. Haggerty is very, very lucky. A bemused and confused hooker.
I just briefly talked about the grip, and as you see Gareth Haggerty here, he's got that ball in like a teddy bear hold. I'm a big believer, me. Get your thumb round the ball, especially in these conditions.
Well,
Clark has got some impact on the arm.
I'm just sorry to interrupt you, Barry, but I just saw it on that second replay. I think just perhaps a little bit of a touch by John Clark there. Not surprisingly, they're taking the opportunity of the two.
Gareth Haggerty, who joined from Salford on a 2-year deal this winter. He's got this penalty, and that's the distance, 36 metres. Just about bang in front of the sticks for Henry Paul. Now, Henry Paul, 12 goals already this year, and make that 13, and Harlequins have the lead, probably against all the odds.
Well, that was an amazing kick, wasn't it? It was though it was going over in slow motion. It sort of rolled over and just snuck in to the left-hand side, inside that post.
So many stars missing from the Harlequin side, but what do they say? Conditions are a great leveller.
Oh, without a doubt. It's weathered, you know, with, as we say, tough weekend over Easter. A lot of these players will be playing with niggling injuries as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how the two coaches bring on people off the bench, and when they do that.
First, release him! Get square!
Plucky run from Joe Mabou for Harlequins. Still in possession here. And that's Ricky Sharif.
Two! Stand! Go!
And
he is a
certainly
very
carried
good player, isn't
Harlequins forward for the last 18 months,
We
hasn't he?
spoke on boots and all, didn't we? Is he as good or better than the other back rowers who want to play for England in the World Cup in 6 months' time?
He's up there, he's up there, Phil, I've got to say.
You know, Henry Paul just made that kick, but he's also one of the best goal kickers in Super League.
Rinaldi with the high kick. And underneath it is Hicks, and as he hit the deck, there were two Harlequins players around him. Howell and Henry Paul. Just going to make the point about Rob Purdom. He's well known to Paul Cullen, of course, because Paul was his coach at Whitehaven, where Rob Purdom began his career.
Yeah, he's got great respect for him, and if there's a man that in 80 minutes that really puts himself about, it's got to be that man, Rob Purdom.
Get square!
Mabou with the tackle. Here is Rob Parker. A sub in every game so far for Parker.
The wind seems to have dropped slightly. Just before this game started, you would have said that it would have been an advantage to the Wolves, but it seems to have just dropped. The rain has stopped.
Monaghan goes down. He was under a bit of pressure then, and the referee and touch judge saw it. Howell hit him late. This is a penalty to Warrington, and what's more, I think someone's on his way to the sin bin.
Well, it wasn't the best from Ricky Sharif, was it?
He's hit him with his back there. He's turned his back, not really got a clue where he's going, which direction. Poor technique there from Howell.
I'm not so sure that it deserved 10 minutes in the sin bin, though.
I don't think it did, no.
Well, that's the rule now, isn't it? If players charge down the kicker and take him out late, that is the rule. It's an automatic 10 minutes in the sin bin, and what's more, the referee has put the incident on report.
Time to pull out.
So we might hear a bit more about that. And the referee's view, you just heard it there, he had time to pull out.
I'm not sure.
No, neither am I. Either way.
Just poor technique, that.
Yep. I think he committed himself.
Either way. As the kick was being taken, didn't he? Anyway, Harlequins down to 12 men, a chance here for Warrington. And Parker steaming onto the ball.
They need to do something a little bit different than just hop for the kick.
Clark will come left and find Monaghan. Monaghan then spins it to Matt King.
Did well to hang on to that. He had to reach slightly back for it.
And they were very quickly into his face. This is Paul Johnson. Here is Monaghan. Now it's Chris Hicks. Hicks can't get away. That's the fourth tackle. That's a penalty. And that is a silly penalty for Gareth Haggerty to give away. So they're taking it quickly, as you would expect. Here is Vinnie Anderson. This is Martin Gleeson.
Should have passed. The crowd thought so too.
Ian Riley was stood out on the wing expecting the ball. This is Anderson. Vinnie Anderson. I think he's got that down, has he? No.
Good position there by Richard Silverwood. Always nice to see a fit referee in charge get himself so he can see it.
Tackle count continues. 10 metres out. This is Monaghan, and the chance has gone for Warrington. Purdom will take it back and Purdom will take it back and just over the advantage line, so play on.
Never really had a chance, did he,
risky. That's risky on a pen.
Oh, nice offload.
Conditions like this, though, they're chancing their arm. As I say, 25 minutes on the watch, 2 up, and they're suddenly full of confidence, Quins.
That's because you play with habits, isn't it? And normally we get better conditions like this, Eddie, and players, if they can keep the ball alive. Very hard to change your habits just because the weather and the pitch has changed in short time span. Although I know you have to do that if you want to win.
Well, Sharp is still on his backside and getting treatment. So at the moment, Harlequins attacking here with only 11 fit players because they have a man in the bin. David Howell, remember, the kick deep but collected by Hicks, but he just stumbled, slipped a bit in the mud, and that just gave Harlequins adequate time to come up and get the tackle in. Kevin Penny now.
And another good option there by the Quins. That They're playing no frills rugby league football, which is good, but kicking early in the tackle again, well before the wingers have gone back into any sort of position.
Well, Martin Gleeson wouldn't give Chris Riley the ball on the right, so he's moved over to the left. Paul Johnson. Down he goes on the fourth tackle. Warrington still midway inside their own half. Mark Gleeson is out there now. Here is Monaghan. Big hit.
Good defence. They're working as a unit, working very hard indeed.
Monaghan with the kick again. It will bounce in front of John Wells. Wells will wait and pick the ball up.
He's had plenty of work to do, as this fella John Wells, and been very effective as well. A couple of times he jumped into the dummy half position. This just emphasises how the Quins work hard. Nothing outrageous, just solid hard work.
No, they're not flash, are they? But they're doing the basics on a night like this.
Runs from dummy half. They know that they've got that quality in Henry Paul. He can steer them around, and Julian Rinaldi is making a pretty good fist at playing at the scrum half position.
There is Rinaldi, tackled by young Andy Braycheck. 50th career appearance for the Warrington loose forward today. Here's Chad Randall, and he goes down. Last tackle here for Harlequins. Haggerty gives it to Henry Paul, and that will angle, and Riley picks it up. Chris Riley sets off on a run. It's his first appearance of the year for the 20-year-old Warrington winger, and there's a penalty for the flop by Harlequins.
Well, that silly play as the rain starts to come down yet again.
It's been that sort of day around here, hasn't it? It's been on and off all day, the rain.
Good work from Chris Riley. Read it well. Haggerty running repairs. It's going to be a busy day for the trainers as well.
I think we've got some injury news from Harlequins, Bill.
Yeah, a bit of concern about the fitness of Will Sharp out there. He's got a bang on the head. He's also got a thing, not surprisingly, he's got mud in his eye, which they're having problems getting out. Not surprising. And you have to wonder, Eddie, about the wisdom of allowing a football team to play on a rugby league pitch, which is, of course, is what happens here.
Yes, that's an interesting twist on that scenario. By the way, Dave Whelan, the owner of the JJB Stadium, wants me to point out to everybody, if we get the opportunity, is the football team at Wigan Athletic and their problems with their pitch has got nothing whatsoever to do with rugby league.
Quins were very fortunate indeed there. It looked as though there was a little bit of a knock-on by Julian Rinaldi before he scooped it away. He allowed the possession to cut it forward by Richard Silverwood there.
Mind you, the problem with the pitches these days, I suppose, Steve-O, to be fair to Warrington and Wigan, if you can use the piece of grass 12 months of the year, so you should.
Yeah, of course you can, but you can't. Oh, that's forward a mile. How on earth have they got away with that?
And that's not so very far backwards either. But here goes Ricky Sharif, and he's hauled down by Kevin Penny. Two clear forward passes, or it looked like from up here. But Harlequins going down the side, and Chris Melling couldn't take the pass in. Here's the knock-on, and Warrington survive.
Just going back to the pitch, Eddie, as we see the replay of this forward pass now.
It was about a metre forward, and then
half a metre. But
yeah, well, that was a knock-on there.
Knock-on. Yeah.
Going back to the pitch, Eddie, Headingley is used 12 months a year, and Jason Booth, the groundsman there, does a fantastic job. I'm not sure you can do much about the weather on days like this.
Huddersfield's a prime example as well. Casey Stadium, I mean, they're all over the place, aren't they?
Look, it's been raining that hard. It wouldn't matter if it was concrete, it'd still be pudding. It has just come down day after day. When's it going to change?
Tonight, when the clocks go forward. Good run here. Tremendous run from Braycheck. Couldn't get the ball away. He has now to Mark Gleeson. Gleeson. He had the short nearly pulled off him then by Gareth Haggerty. Desperate defence for the Quins. Pickersgill finds Monaghan. Here is Parker again. He's put himself about since he's come on. Wants to get on with it quickly. Warrington trying to inject a little bit of pace into this. It's with Johnson. He manages to offload Monaghan. Oh. Well, I was going to say he brilliantly picks it up one-handed, and then he just dropped it. Well, he's been spending most of the week this week in a hyperbaric chamber not too far away from here to get himself fit. He had the ball in his hands.
He's trying to catch it and kick it in the same motion.
Wasn't he?
And he knew exactly where it was going to pinpoint the thing, but good work from Braycheck.
He should have passed it there. I'm not sure who the winger was, but he'd almost run past him. making it impossible for Pickersgill to pass to him.
I think, Barry, when it gets so muddy like this, you're frightened to offload.
Exactly, I
you
talked about it, your confidence goes.
And you say, look, I know I'm going to get no pat in the back from my coach if I try to pass it an impossible. It's just not on. It's just hard work. Graft is going to win the game today.
But you can't just play head down, backside up, 5 drives for a kick. You've got to play with some skill and some movement. You just need to make better decisions.
It's a great run there from Gareth Haggerty. Buying a few more metres into Warrington territory, and here is Chad Randall. Randall to Rinaldi.
Bit of a problem for Ben Westwood.
To say the Harlequins appear so far to have adapted better to the conditions than Warrington. Here is Purdom.
Just driving forward. There's Westwood looking a little bit groggy.
Last tackle here, and Henry Paul trying to stab the kick through straight into the arms of Michael Monaghan, and that should have been a penalty. Monaghan wanting to get on with it and play the ball. And Michael Monaghan, I'm reminded, from Manly, of course. And oh, look at that defence from Harlequins. Matt King's in touch.
Tremendous work.
Look at them. They're slapping each other on the back here and saying, come on, let's have a go. It's almost as though they've scored a try themselves. But Michael Monaghan here...
Should have been a penalty here.
It should have been.
Henry Paul, look at that.
Manly are certainly missing him in Australia. They've lost 2 out of 2 so far in the NRL, start of this season. He's playing in his favoured position here at half-back. He had to play hooker last year in the NRL, and he's been a revelation for Warrington.
I think the biggest problem for their coach, Paul Cullen, in regards to Michael Monaghan, is being able to get him out on the training paddock. Spends most of the time trying to recover from the week before.
Steve, the Harlequins haven't had many opportunities to get close to the line and score. Here's a great one for them before half-time. Paul kicks over.
Great kick, but it lands like a pudding, and it's a knock-on. It's a knock-on, is it by Warrington? I think it is. This is going to be head and feed.
Well, he did everything right and put his body across it. That went backwards. I think he's badly done to here.
In situations situations like that, you're better off getting on the floor, get down dirty first before you attempt to pick the ball up. Body in between the defence and the ball.
Good option though by Quins. Little chip over the top when they didn't expect it.
Purdom and Paul on the run around, and here is John Wells taking on Matt King. Oh, Matt King's come up with the ball. How's that happened? The referee's blown the whistle. He wants to know how it happened as well.
Well, it's a one-on-one steal or it's a penalty.
It's head and feet to Warrington. Well, if it's head and feet to Warrington, why isn't it play on?
Saying a knock-on, it must be his only interpretation. He's knocked on, lost possession.
After the tackle was completed.
Tackle's complete, I can't play on. It's in now.
By the way, it's a relieved Wolves outfit. He came up with a football, did Matt King.
Here's Martin Gleeson.
That's one release.
It's players like Martin Gleeson that you just think to yourself, they want
penalty for Warrington. That relieves the pressure.
He said he was being held.
Well, the Quins have survived the 10 minutes when they were down to 12 men. Eddie Howell back on the field.
Yes, he is.
But I think it'd be the Warrington side in the last minute or two be relieved to get away from the try line without conceding a try. This is invariably going to be a low-scoring match.
Mark Gleeson.
Well, you say that, especially going up to half-time, Phil, but, you know, one of the sides might just run out of petrol and just sort of have no energy left whatsoever. Which side is it going to be?
Pickersgill goes down on the halfway line of the Halliwell-Jones paddy field as Mark Gleeson gives it to Parker. Good tackle by Purdom again. Leading by example, the Quins skipper. This is Mark Gleeson, breaks one tackle. Joe Mabou was all over him. Here is Johnson from dummy half. This is Monaghan. Riley wanted the ball placed down the wing for him to chase. They went back the other way with Martin Gleeson. It's the last one. Mark Gleeson and Monaghan stabs the kick through, but that's easy for the Harlequins defence.
Great read, wasn't it? Henry Paul, a standoff.
You can understand why Brian McDermott is frightened to death. Henry Paul might be thinking this is his final season.
I think he's been outstanding this year. Last year it was virtually a tackling machine, and that was it, full stop. Not this year. He really has put himself around. He's organising things, and he has to. He's got no option. There's no McClendon there, no Hill, no Orr.
Oh, penalty here because
I'm going to come to the side.
the Warrington man was all over the back of the Harlequins player Tony Clubb as he got up to play the ball, giving the referee no option, and they've gone for a short tap option here, Harlequins. They didn't go for touch, just drove the ball up the middle.
Madam B, all these penalties around the ruck, all these little infringements are all designed to gain your defensive line that extra second, because you've got to go back with 2 feet behind the line.
Tomato will drive it forward for Harlequins. 4 minutes to half-time, 2-0 to Harlequins. Here comes Gareth Haggerty again, the Irish international.
Again in the ascendancy of Harlequins. Their big forwards are making good inroads.
Here is Julien Rinaldi, the French international. That's the last tackle for Harlequins. David Howell is dummy half. Here is Henry Paul, stabs it in, was played up and was picked up by Pickersgill.
It's very difficult to be able to stab a little dinky kick on the ground when it's so wet, muddy. I'd go for the option just up into the air, you know, a very wet, slippy ball.
Either way you're catching a ball tonight is very, very difficult, but it's not a bad place to hand over the ball. His other option was to put a little bit more weight on it, and then there's always the danger of it going dead, and then they gain 20 metres automatically.
Well, just over 3 minutes to go, and then our half-time summary will be coming up, and I wonder whether we'll have a try to talk about in the first half. We'll be talking about the mud, we'll be talking about the conditions.
Well, now you said it, I think we'll get one.
Well, that's beautiful play from Monaghan. Rinaldi flicked at it, and well claimed by David Howell.
Put his body on the line there in the right manner.
Go.
Nice touch, wasn't it, from Michael Monaghan? As soon as you were saying, will we get a try? I thought we were going to get one there, put the mocker on everybody.
Trying to conjure something up for poor old Barry to talk about during the half-time break.
I'll just ask you where you're going on your holidays, what you've been up to this week.
Oh, there's quite a bit to talk about.
Pardon?
Go. Great.
I'm married to a hairdresser, Phil. I know all them questions.
Here is Howell again, getting Harlequins over the halfway line just. Randall at dummy half. Good strong run. Pickersgill though was there.
Go.
Very sensible play, isn't it? By the Quins so far.
Well, nothing fancy, nothing silly, just hard work.
And they're confident with the kick and chase. We haven't seen hardly any breakthrough from the Warrington attack.
Second, release.
King goes down with the tackle from Rinaldi. Rinaldi to Johnson. Johnson no way through. They're hunting in packs, aren't they? And the completion rate from Warrington isn't clever. Good hit again on Pickersgill. 4 tackles gone. 7 metres inside their own half. Mark Gleeson. Monaghan had to stretch. Oh, he's away! Interception! And it's Gareth Haggerty! Gareth Haggerty's going to make this. It's an interception try for Gareth Haggerty. Fantastic try for Haggerty. We've got something to talk about at half-time. He just snaked the arm out, Gareth Haggerty, pulled it into his body, and he looked like he was running in cement, but he still managed to have too much pace for the defence.
Well, he read it perfectly, didn't he? He knew that the ball was coming back inside from Michael Monaghan. You say it was cement, but any youngster watching, he filled the car up with petrol, put it into gear, and then decided he got through it. Watch how he scores. Made sure he was never going to lose that football. That is a great finish. He does everything right out of the book.
Gareth Haggerty, he missed the Irish qualifier against Lebanon that got the Irish to Australia and the World Cup finals later this year, but he is desperate to be on that plane, and that's a terrific interception try, and Henry Paul will add the extras. And Harlequins, who won here last year against all the odds, with a team of comparative unknowns and a team that Brian McDermott has put together from the training field, lead at half-time by 8 points to 0. And just as last year, Warrington going off to a crescendo of boos. I think that's a bit harsh because the conditions are awful, but the Harlequins fans, small but vocal, and they are the people at the moment who are cheering, because Quins are ahead by 8 points to 0. Henry Paul with the penalty in the 21st minute, and we had to wait right till the stroke of half-time for Haggerty to score his interception try, which Henry Paul converted, and the Quins gather and leave as a team. 8-0 to Harlequins at half-time here at the Halliwell Jones Stadium.
Season of Speedway starts Monday at 7:30 p.m. live only on Sky Sports.
New Fanta Still.
Wherever your mood takes you, get on down to KFC for the new Flavour Station. 3 tasty ways to enjoy boneless bites. Choose from Western-style smoky barbecue sauce, flaming fiery pepper, or oriental sweet chili. Whatever your mood, we've got the flavour. 5 bites, only $2.69.
At Orange, we know that everyone is different. That's why we give our customers the freedom to choose between 4p monthly phone packages. Canary, raccoon, panther, and dolphin. From unlimited calls to unlimited texts, we have a plan to suit you.
We've always wanted to. Fun and laughter on a day trip breakaway. No more worries for me or you for a day or two.
Start collecting points on Walker's packs to get fantastic discounts on Great British trips. Anything from theme parks to holidays and even pub lunches.
We're gone where the sun shines sometimes. Gone where there's teeth for two. We've seen it on the packets. Now let's see if it's true.
Walker's Great Brit Trips. Grab your bags and save a packet.
Welcome to Beverly Hills, home of the rich and famous. Just look at the beautiful cars.
It's okay for today. They're gone.
The Renault Clio, an exterior sign of inner richness. Now appearing on a street near you, the Renault Clio range, with 0% finance over 3 years with a 10% deposit.
Last season, the home team won 55% of Super League matches. Sky Bet, it matters more when there's money on it.
Lots more live action tonight on Sky Sports. On Sky Sports Extra tonight from 7, it's a Spanish football doubleheader as Real Betis take on Barcelona, followed by Villarreal against Atletico Madrid. Plus from midnight here on Sky Sports 2, it's IndyCar racing from Miami.
half-time in the mud at Warrington, and Harlequins are ahead 8-0. The try on the bell from Gareth Haggerty, and 2 goals, 1 a penalty, 1 the conversion from the ever-reliable Henry Paul. Well, Warrington will be having nightmares about this, because last year the Harlequins came here in May and won by 17 points to 4. It was a bitter blow, considering that Warrington had won at the Twickenham Stoop just a couple of months earlier. But their completion rate in this match has not been clever, and well, Paul Cullen will have none of the fact that I'm sure that the players and us here will be saying it's the conditions. Because if you look down the dressing room, Harlequins have been playing in exactly the same sort of conditions, but their completion rate is a little better, and what's more, they are ahead on the scoreboard where it counts. 18-0 down at Bradford on Monday after just 30 minutes. They really rolled their sleeves up then, and they eventually lost 24-32, and they've rolled their sleeves up here, and it looks like Hull FC are rolling their sleeves up in the south of France. Catalan Dragons 0, Hull FC 6 after just 10 minutes. By the way, it's the 12th anniversary of the very first match that was ever played in Super League, the 29th of March 1996, Paris Saint-Germain against Sheffield Eagles, and here we are nearly 2,000 games on. The weather's not as good as it was that night, but the drama and the excitement and the thrills of Super League most certainly are. Barry McDermott and I were worried we'd have nothing to talk about during the half-time break. We have, Barry. An Irish international as well, Gareth Haggerty, doing it for the boys.
Took his try really well, Gareth Haggerty. He scored a similar one last year, round about the same time. Just pinned his ears back. I love to see a player that does all the hard work, all the dirty work, get his chance in the glory, and he certainly showed a bit of pace, didn't he? Great technique when he put the ball down as well.
He did. We'll see that in a moment, but just before that, Warrington did have a chance.
They did. I think it was Anderson who was held up over the line. Probably you'd want him to get a lower body angle than that. Only on the line is a try. He's probably trying to get over the line. But here's Gareth Haggerty's try, and he did really well. Probably in the wrong place at the wrong time, but pinned his ears back. Go on, Aggie lad. Great pace, and he'll enjoy that. He'll have that on the reruns.
And look at that. Look at the discipline there. He got hold of the ball with both hands to make sure that in these conditions it wasn't going to spew away from him.
Sometimes you see players and they're actually landing with the forearm in conditions like this. You know, it could spurt out anyway. So, you know, his dad would be proud of that.
I bet so, yes indeed. Roy Haggerty's his dad used to play for St Helens all those years ago when Barry was a lad. I don't know who's going to win this, because you would think that Paul Cullen will be giving Warrington now the rounds of the kitchen.
Yeah, he'd be saying, like you've mentioned, that the conditions are the same for both sides. Respect the ball a little bit more, cut the skill level down, or cut the decisions down that are going 50-50. Still play a brand of rugby league that tests the defensive line, but just make better decisions.
You look down the team sheet, you know, there's Gleeson, the two Gleesons, there's King, there's Hicks, there's Monaghan. I mean, you look down the Harlequins side, there isn't anybody really, with all due respect to them, who can match them in terms of skill. But on a night like this, where it's been tipping down all day, it's a flat playing field, isn't it?
Clarkey mentioned it in the opening couple of minutes. He was cock on when he said that the team that decides to play tough rugby league, you know, and just keep knocking those sets out, take some energy out of the side that's defending, and the team that does that is going to come out on the better side.
Fair enough. You know, it's a night, as we've said a number of times in the commentary, not for faint hearts. Harlequins, they gained confidence the longer the game was scoreless. They did the basics right. They saw their 6 sets of 6 out. They kicked for territory, and they put Warrington under pressure. It's no fluke, this.
Yeah, it's perhaps not going to be the most entertaining game of rugby league we'll see this season, but what it's going to be a battle. We've mentioned the weather. The weather is a factor, but you can't think about that. Maybe go back 10, 12 years when we used to play in winter. It was like this every single week. Weather, rain, and you know, the rain is coming down, and it's dreadful. It is that fine rain that soaks you through.
Absolutely. You've noticed on the bottom of the screen there that the Catalan Dragons have equalised against Hull FC in the south of France. I venture to suggest that the weather will not be as bad there as it is here, but I don't think you dare mention weather in terms of Paul Cullen at the moment if you're close to him, because, as I say, same for both sides, and Harlequins have definitely adapted better in that first half. What's going to happen after the break?
MoneySupermarket.com is the UK's #1 financial price comparison site. We help people get their best car insurance deal by comparing more quotes than anyone else.
That's the car insurance sorted. What's next?
Whatever you're looking for, MoneySupermarket.com compares the market in seconds to get you the best deal. MoneySupermarket.com, the price comparison site.
£250 grand on a Rightmove house. £500,000 cash. And over 22 million other prizes, including Mini Coopers and tasty McDonald's food. All up for grabs with Money Monopoly at McDonald's. With a 1 in 4 chance of winning, it's the richest one yet.
The hottest catch. Dodge Connell just met his match.
Lexi Littleton.
Now.
What's your name?
Carter. When her head's been turned, the game is on.
I've got some decisions to make.
George Clooney, Renee Zellweger.
Stay away from my right knee. Well, you wouldn't punch me in the back, would you? No, never. Let's just go for the face.
Leatherheads.
We're all going on a British holiday, doing things we've always wanted to. Fun and laughter on a day trip breakaway. No more worries for me or you for a day or two.
Start collecting points on Walker's packs to get fantastic discounts on Great British trips. Anything from theme parks to holidays and even pub lunches.
We're gone where the sun shines sometimes. We're gone where there's teeth for two. We've seen it on the packets. Now let's see if it's true.
Walker's Great Brit Trips. Grab your bags and save a packet.
With O2, nothing is lost. Store all your numbers and automatically save every text and photo message online. Keep your memories safe with Blue Book.
Big is beautiful, but mega is magnificent. Now, 2 channels join forces to bring you one mega weekend. Back-to-back mega structures and mega factories all day Saturday on National Geographic Channel. And the History Channel goes mega on Sunday with all-day mega movers and mega disasters. Mega weekend, all day today on National Geographic Channel, continuing tomorrow on the History Channel.
On average, the first Super League try is scored in 13 minutes. Sky Bet, it matters more when there's money on it.
Next week's Super League programme on Sky Sports in a moment, but first of all, the Northern Rail Cup is heading your way on Thursday. Sky Sports 2, Barrow against Batley, 7:30. And in the Engage Super League Friday, it's Huddersfield against the Catalan Dragons, 7:25. Sky Sports 1 and HD1, followed by Super League Extra Time, available via the red button. And on Saturday, it's Leeds against Wigan, 5:55 in the same place. Well, they have a sense of humour in this part of the world. Warrington 0, Harlequins 8, I suppose they have to. Playing on the tannoy now, the hit from Travis. Why does it always rain on me? And why does it always rain on the Super League? Look at the conditions here. Players need a medal for just turning out, Steve. We're nice and dry and in thick coats.
They certainly do, but I know that Paul Cullen, the Warrington coach, would have said, let's take a leaf out of the book of the Harlequins. They were overshadowed by the strong running from the likes of Purdham, Mabou, especially Chris Mellin and Gareth Haggerty. They really have worked overtime, and that's what the Wolves have got to do. Got to go to no frills.
There's no frills as Gratian drives that ball forward for Harlequins. This is Chad Randall. A good run, piercing run from dummy half from Randall.
Been a good combination between Randall and the half-back Julian Rinaldi. They've shared the hard work at the dummy half position. Been effective too.
Henry Paul directing Harlequins around the field. The ball plops into the ground, is picked up by Chris Hicks. No Stuart Reardon tonight. Hicks is playing at full-back. They possibly lose a little bit in terms of their three-quarters, but it's not a night for the fancy dance. It's a night for the players who are going to put their heads down and really have a dig.
It's been a great by Chris Hicks, though, and he's scored tries, he's prevented tries. He's come over here to play and work hard. Good on him.
Good tackling again from Harlequins as Pickersgill tried to drive that ball forward. This is Paul Johnson, makes the break. Great check, couldn't get it out to Kevin Penny. He was desperate for the ball to be given to him on the touchline. Mark Gleeson, this is the last tackle. Monaghan will dump the kick down into Harlequins territory, and that's going to stand in the in-goal area. The chase now, led by Monaghan.
That's what they needed. They know that they can get plenty of length on it, and it just dipped down, just rolled 3 or 4 times, and the chase was quite superb. But it's been pretty effective by the way that the Harlequins have taken this ball back. Good running from the dummy half.
Here's Haggerty, the try scorer. Good ball that to Purdom, and Martin Gleeson had to be very alert. Hull are 14-6 up in the south of France after 23 minutes. Here at the Halliwell-Jones Stadium, it's 8-0 to Quins, but injury news, Bill.
Yeah, the Quins have got a problem. John Wells has not returned for the second half. He's got an ankle injury. He was out at half-time trying to run it off without success. They don't reckon he's going to be able to come back. David Howell has switched to full-back for the Quins.
Oh, Kevin Penny nearly lost that. And he has, but he lost it backwards.
Pretty solid defence there. David Howell lifted him up, drove him down, and he was very fortunate because Kevin Penny, not noted to have the safest pair of hands in Super League.
On a night like this, Eddie, sometimes it can be the enthusiasm of a young squad member, somebody like Mitchell who's just come on there. Lee Mitchell, you'll see him now playing in number 24. Not had a lot of opportunity to play in the first team, but occasionally it's that sort of enthusiasm that lifts a side in these circumstances.
Well, that was very fortunate. Michael Monaghan looked as though he'd knocked that ball forward. Here is the fourth tackle. Monaghan involved in the action again. Oh, great ball out the back door to Braycheck. That was invented. That was dry weather football. Braycheck, though, can't make too much ground forward. Tackled by Haggerty. Mark Gleeson. Monaghan again. He'll dab the kick towards the in-goal area. It's well picked up by David Howell. And Mitchell and King in there quickly to pull him down.
Well, the man that took over the responsibility of the full-back position with John Wells off, Howell did exceptionally well there. But what about the offload? It was pretty good.
Ricky Sharif, well, there is the legs that belong to John Wells. And he's trying to work the injury off, but
he'll do his best. The rugby players these days, very tough, good competitors, and if they can run it off 99 times out of 100 they will. They're tough lads.
They are. That's a fly kick forward then by Will Sharp, picked up by Chris Riley. Plenty of room for Riley, but that's quickly closed down by the Harlequins chase.
Should be easy though for Warrington to get over the halfway line, and then you can look towards Michael Monaghan to make sure that they will control it, try to dink it into the in-goal area. They're desperate to get a second set of 6, the Wolves at the moment.
This is Ben Westwood, who's certainly upped the ante a little bit. Warrington probably with some severe words from their coach ringing in their ears. But this solid Harlequins defence is standing firm still. Now Monaghan to Braycheck, and Braycheck gets away from one.
He's lost it. That'll be a knock-on. it's always going to be very difficult because the players realise now that all they have to do is just make the contact on the ball-carrying arm. Very difficult to keep hold of.
It is, and I don't think the short pass, seconds away from contact, no, that's not right. Just at the point of contact, I don't think that's the right play. You're always going to be struggling if you're trying to catch it and offload or catch it and bump somebody off.
They're claiming a little bit of a knock-on there by Julian Rinaldi. Did seem to bobble around.
Harlequins ahead here, and Hull FC ahead in the south of France, as you've already seen. There was a little hint of a knock-on by Rinaldi. In fact, the Hull side has never lost in the south of France in Super League before over the past 3 years, or rather the past 3 visits. Now, there was a knock-on in the next play, that was.
Haggerty, the culprit. He was a hero just before half-time when he took the intercept from Monaghan's inside pass.
This is an opportunity for Warrington. Here is Matt King. He's going on the way to the sideline, King. Ball dumped down off the legs of Penny.
He had a chance as well, did Penny, because I think King just released the ball before he went over the whitewash. Yep, it ricocheted away, but he just kicked it and it went on the outside of the boot. That could very well have been a try.
You've got to stay on the island, though. He's running in that outward angle. Always a danger you can be pushed into touch. Lots of teams, lots of players, as soon as they get contact, trying to force them over the sidelines.
Let's go down to Bill on the side.
Eddie, you wonder what Paul Cullen was saying in the dressing room, whether he was letting rip. Apparently not. It was fairly calm in there, but a bit more guidance. Certainly the kicking game, one area they've got to look to, and a bit more discipline as well. Just noticing that they've sent on Paul Rauhihi, and Adrian Morley is pacing the sidelines as well, ready to go on. They really are upping the ante now, looking to take the game to the Quins. You feel that if Warrington are to get back into the, well, not get back into this game, because they're certainly not out of it, but this is the time they're going to have to do it, because the longer this goes on, the more confidence they're going to get, Quins, and the rain is hammering down again. The conditions are not going to get any better.
No, they're not. That was obvious from first minute.
You could see Mabou there looking at the officials, saying that was a bit of a high one, wrapped round the nose. It was never going to be pretty tonight, but it doesn't matter how you win. The fact is you've got to get those 2 valuable Super League points for the table. And the way that the Quins are playing, they are full of confidence.
Still got plenty of options left off the bench, both coaches, as try-scorer Haggerty drives it in again. And Henry Paul waits for the pass, flicks the ball then to Joe Mabou. Brian McDermott always thinking, always scheming on the sideline. And that's Chris Melling who goes to ground on the last. Randall and Henry Paul attacking the line. Flicks the ball to David Howells.
Oh, he should have gone straight. He tried to step off the right boot. A beautiful inside pass from Henry Paul. He should have gone straight. You see how he stepped? He'd have had a better chance of burrowing low and maybe could have slid right over.
Credit the Warrington defence, though. There were 4 shirts. It's always a difficult pass when it comes on the inside, and the reaction was great.
And David Howell hands in there at the play of the ball as Warrington were trying to get on with it, hence the penalty. Westwood was the offload. Wide it goes to Matt King. Gets away from the initial challenge from Clubb. Can't get away from Ricky Sharif, though.
And he wanted to win so many of their games by outflanking their opponents. They've got skill and pace out wide, and I've always said they score probably the most spectacular tries in Super League. If they're going to win here tonight, they have to win it down the middle. Rauhihi, Morley, and the rest of the players are attempting to play with an up-tempo so they can go down the middle. You won't outflank the Quins.
Anderson, Monaghan, taking them on up the middle. Morley was on his shoulders. It's a ding-dong battle going on at the Cattle and Dragons Hull match. That's a high kick. Howell's underneath it. Claimed it well. To be fair, there haven't been too many mistakes from the ball coming out of the sky tonight, has there?
Well, it's very difficult. We talk about the kick and chase, but as soon as you get the kick away, it's trying to get your foot working. It's so slippy. I mean, look at it. It is just a quagmire.
Appalling, it really is.
I mean, a difficult skill, Steve, or you would have been familiar with this. He's actually getting the ball out of the mud for the acting out.
Sharif makes the break for Harlequins.
He did well. Get to him. He didn't panic. That's the main thing, because he knows that possession in such a good position is so vital. You can control the game from here.
This is Rinaldi. That's the last tackle. Here's Henry Paul again. Now he gives it to Randall. Randall fires it wide to Clubb. Off the fingertips of Clubb, it went forward. Sharif did well to stop the ball going over the whitewash.
He's a bit frustrated, Brian McDermott, and rightly so, because it just ricocheted off the centre there. Did well to keep hold of the football. But what about the break here from Ricky Sharif? He's been in top form as well. And even though they didn't get the kick away, it's that Harlequins realising that Warrington have got to do something very good indeed, some solid hard work. There you see Morley trying to get him into a good position. But this defence from the Quins is very solid. They're forcing Warrington into a one-out play.
Westwood tackled 10 metres inside his own half on the last. Warrington simply cannot penetrate this Harlequins defence yet. And Monaghan with the kick, the only option. Plop into the pudding and brought forward by Howell.
Wait, Andy. Go.
Ricky Sharif flicks the ball back on the inside.
Stand and hold. Go.
And Joe Mabou plays it. And that's Tony Clubb. He's missed the first three, but he's featured in the last five, Tony Clubb. Good ball to Tamata.
He's working hard
up the middle.
Working hard yet again is Chad Randall. Just shows you when you've got the experience that you can be a little bit adventurous, and that's play on.
It is play on, and the ball is flicked up to Rinaldi. Oh, and he gave it straight to Johnson. I don't know whether Johnson can speak French, but he's said something there. It was play on.
Was it back to one, or was that a charge there?
Oh, he had a golden opportunity there. They had 3-on-1 out on that right-hand side as your defender.
That's a good drive, that.
Excellent drive from Morley. This is Clark, and John Clark escapes the net. Only briefly. It's Johnson. Still Paul Johnson. Flicks the pass. Ben Westwood will carry it on. Finds Monaghan, who evades one challenge.
Tremendous tackle.
Good hit. It was Clubb again. And that ball flicks off the ankles and is gobbled up by the Harlequins defence yet again. And Tony Clubb once more, right man in the right place. Here's Ricky Sharif stepping out of the challenges.
We spoke about the sharing the workload, and they've done that at the Quins. You think you just share it in the forwards, but their ability, you know, to utilise the likes of Tony Clubb, Sharif has been very, very good indeed. And now that David Howell has dropped back into the full-back position, but he's not frightened of taking the responsibility away from the forwards. Look at Randall trying to take everything on, pointing at the official, but that is a bad mistake. Good tackle by King.
It was big hit by King, and the Warrington crowd trying to lift their players. Harlequins have come into this match having lost 3 in a row, but the last time they won, they managed to nil the opposition as well. It was Huddersfield, and Huddersfield were well and truly beaten on that occasion by 24 points to nil. Here it's 8-0 to Harlequins at Warrington.
Good example there. You can see the defender, Matt King, went right at the ball carrying arm, just give it such impact it couldn't be held.
Paul Johnson drives it forward again. Penalty.
2-1.
Had a bit of a running battle as the Frenchman Rinaldi against the official, Richard Silverwood. Little doubt about it, is supposed to get away from him once the tackle has been completed. Just trying to give his defence time to get back and set.
Wait, guys. Go.
So here comes Westwood for Warrington, the first tackle, but always 3 men in defence for the Quins. Morley.
It has been so strong as well. Chad Randall 20, Mabou 20, Purdom 18, Chris Mellon 14. Just shows you how much work they're doing in the forwards.
Monaghan to Vinnie Anderson, who drops it under pressure from Tony Clubb, and again the celebrations for great defence.
And that all comes about by a lot of hard work on the training paddock. This is the second occasion that Clubb has come right out on the angle. They knew they were going to use the second runner out wide, and he went straight for the ball-carrying arm on Anderson. That's the second occasion that Mr. Clubb has saved the day.
Let's go, guys. He put all of his chips on one player, though, didn't he? Had the ball gone past him to Lee Mitchell. But still, those are the tough decisions you instantly have to make when you're defending as a centre. Players coming at you, and you've got to hope that you guess the right one.
It's all about timing as well, Phil, and Tony Clubb has done that, especially in the second half. It's important now they don't come up with another. Oh, they nearly did.
Went backwards. Ball went backwards, says Richard Silverwood. Harlequins lucky to escape that. Rinaldi. Short ball to Henry Paul. Hangs on. And Catalan's just sneaked the lead towards half-time against Hull. Harlequins here in possession with Chad Randall. Westwood got to him first. We'll see Catalan Dragons on Friday at Huddersfield, 7:25. Sky Sports 1 HD1. Same place on Saturday, 5:55. Leeds and Wigan. Fingers crossed for a bit of dry weather. Randall gets the ball away again. Good work here from Gratian. Last tackle though for Harlequins. Rinaldi with the kick towards the touchline. That will do for Harlequins.
Sensible play by Julian Rinaldi. He'll be looking quite confident now as we approach the final quarter. He's always a nervous customer, Brian McDermott. He's doing a tremendous job down in London, and he'll be happy with the performance from this guy.
Finished 9th last year, Quins, winning just one of the last 8, but Brian McDermott is certainly altering the culture of the club, isn't he, with so many of the players out there today. 12 of the 17 are British. For so long it has been thought of as a breeding ground for Australian players, or a resting place for Australian players, but no more.
Spent some time with Brian McDermott at Leeds. I think he's a fantastic coach and a future Great Britain coach. The defence is his forte, and he places a lot of importance on being line proud and not letting your mates down and being there and just keep turning up. And obviously the London Harlequin side can score a try, so very, very good coach Brian McDermott. Got a lot of time for him.
And Monaghan with that kick, which will find touch in the corner. Good kick from Monaghan.
Super. There he is. Come on, fellas, come on. We haven't had much opportunity in the second stanza. This is where we have to force the error. Don't mess around. The trouble is, you can see that they are really struggling.
Well, the Quins want to take all the pace out of the game. The ball going out of play enables them to do that. They can walk, they can rest, they can get their breath back. It's the tempo and the speed of the match that Warrington need to keep at the highest possible level, as the Quins possibly fatigued. They've played against guys who are bigger than them, stronger than them, at times faster than them, but they're still 8 points in front on the scoreboard.
And the most amazing thing there, we just saw the speed that Warrington set the scrum so they'd stop the clock, in as much that you would have thought they would try to have a push, anything to get possession back.
Rinaldi, good run from dummy half from Rinaldi. Makes good ground forward. Plays the ball to Tony Clubb, who goes round Braycheck, can't go round Matt King.
A lot of the Warrington players are finding it very difficult. You know, the first and second marker position. Harlequins are getting over the advantage line with considerable ease. Paul Cullen's got to get the message out. Stop them.
And Randall just drills the ball into touch. Good play again. Safe, solid, workmanlike stuff.
It's as though they're out on the training paddock, isn't it? Roll the sleeves up, leave it to me. If I'm not there, make Henry Paul. He'll stand up and be counted. Now then, will the Quins try a pushover?
Turn back on.
Well, fancy dress night at Warrington by the looks of things.
Stag night, I do believe, Eddie.
You think?
Well, they seem to dress up these days, don't they?
Somebody just said it was a lady you were looking at there, Steve-O.
Well, ladies are allowed sometimes.
Stag nights.
Go!
I had a couple come to mind. Maybe I'm different.
No, you're not.
Let's draw a veil over all of that, thank you very much. 24-16, Catalan Dragons ahead against Hull. Half-time there. Look at the conditions here. I bet Bill Arthur on the sidelines like a drowned rat. Monaghan, wide it goes. Braycheck. No, he's not. He's still got a smile on his face.
Paul Cullen won't have a smile on his face,
No,
so
he
a
won't.
knock on by Andy Braycheck. Frustration now visible, isn't it, in the Warrington players?
I think you're right, Phil, but I made the comment that on the restart, Warrington had to take a leaf out of Harlequins' book in that first half. Good running from dummy half. We haven't seen much of that from the Wolves tonight.
They've played good field position, haven't they, the Harlequins side? They've got to the end of the sets, kicked and put pressure on Warrington on their own line. Conditions like this, mistakes are going to happen, and the closer you make your mistake to your own line, the more danger you're going to leak some points.
Harlequins coming forward again with Henry Paul, who has been magnificent for them this evening. He steadied the ship, he really has. He's directed the traffic. And Clubb, brilliant run from Tony Clubb. And Kevin Penny comes in with an important tackle. Still plenty of chances here, though. This is Ricky Sharif, and Ricky Sharif is halted by King. Randall gives it some air and finds Paul. Paul finds Rinaldi. Rinaldi was going right down the middle and down the throats of Westwood and Morley.
What a great break by Tony Clubb there.
Well, he's been massive in defence. He was just massive in attack there.
Good hands.
Henry Paul gets the ball away to Gratian, and Gratian will be trapped in possession on the last, and that will be the turnover. He's frustrated, and Warrington survived, because I think had that run from Clubb been converted into points, that would have been game and set and match.
It certainly would. It would have been very difficult for the Wolves to get back into the game. There is the centre, Tony Clubb, outstanding, as Eddie's mentioned, in defence. He's put himself about.
Here's Morley, leading by example. He has set the example for his forwards in the first 8 rounds of Super League. Johnson held on to that just about. There is Monaghan, and here is Braycheck. Can't get away from Purdom. Yes, he can. Braycheck, a great run. He needs support. There's nothing there for him.
Great tackle from Randall.
Monaghan. Good ball to Vinnie Anderson. Good tackle low down from Henry Paul, inevitably. Last one for Warrington. Monaghan dabs it up into the air, but that's easy. Easy for Howell. And Monaghan misses the follow-up tackle.
Such a casual player, isn't he, David Howell? But he's made a fantastic fist of taking over to the full-back since the injury to John Wells. Now, can Warrington get themselves sorted out with a first and second marker? That's better. Good work from Anderson. Look, there's nobody there.
They're frightened to lie. There's been that many penalties for infringements at the ruck. They're frightened to death.
They're not getting first and second markers there, though.
How quick do we want this game? We're penalising it to death, we are.
Here's Chris Hicks.
Well, if they can hang on to this or even add to that scoreline, I must say this will be a tremendous victory for the London-based side. 12 British players in the squad there, remember.
Hold the 10. Go.
Mark Gleeson gets the ball away to Paul Rauhini. He brushes one away. Oh, the pass though went to ground. Warrington lose momentum because Monaghan is tackled back inside his own half by Rinaldi, who's another one of the Harlequins players who's run his blood to water tonight. This is Chris Riley. Riley just flicks it up, finds Westwood. Westwood gets the ball away. Monaghan, long pass to Matt King. Now there are chances maybe here, as King tries to go through the tackles, but Henry Paul again inevitably low down, finished off by Tony Clubb. That was Mitchell. There's Monaghan. That ball ricochets. It's still the last tackle. And it's the turnover.
Not the best kick, sheer confusion going in to the minds of the Warrington outfit.
Do you know when Paul Rowhey here got his arms free and offloaded that ball to nobody, you might look at him and think, why are you passing? But I don't blame Paul Rowhey. Week in, week out, he comes away with them, he comes off with them, those offloads, and he's got players right up his backside, willing to take that short pass. Not on a night like tonight. I mentioned about still playing rugby. Don't be frightened to play rugby, just make better decisions.
Randall and the ball in field to Tamata. 30 metres away from the Warrington line. Randall again looks for Henry Paul. Henry Paul goes wide and finds Club. He's gone inside Matt King. Good job that Mark Gleeson was there. He just impeded him briefly. Matt King finished him off. Club will play the ball here to Randall. Randall will find Rinaldi, and Rinaldi stabs the ball to the in-goal area. Oh, there's work there to do, and that's wonderful play from Rinaldi. Kevin Penny was trapped in goal.
He's been outstanding, this fella.
It was Chris Hicks trapped in goal, not Kevin Penny. Straight down to Bill on the side.
Eddie, the problem's mounting for Warrington, not just the scoreboard. Martin Gleeson is off. He's got what looks like a calf injury. He could come back on, but really they're not prepared to risk it because of the conditions, just aggravating it. And Monaghan seems to be hobbling again. Of course, he's had all sorts of problems already, but it looks as though these conditions aren't helping him either.
Warrington with a big fat 0 alongside their name. They've only been nilled twice before in Super League. In the very first season, here against Wigan, 21-0. And in 2001 at Castleford, 18-0. So it's 7 long years since they've been nilled, and that's a mistake. That was a chance there for Chris Melling. This is Matt King, meanwhile.
Haggerty comes up with an injury to the shoulder. They really shouldn't have gone for the short pass like that. No need to take the risk. You're in control. You've got your opposition down in their own quarter, and you're leading by 8 points. Oh, good, what a hit!
Again, Warrington lose it. That's a knock-on by Westwood, was it? No, the referee says it went backwards.
Rob Purdham come up with an absolute bell ringer then.
Johnson bouncing off a couple. It's the pass away to Parker out there.
Well, they're starting to play a lot of football, moving the ball a lot inside their own half here.
Great work
so 14
from Purdham.
minutes to go.
I think that's a knock-on by Westwood.
Certainly looked it. He was facing that way. Either way, it's waved away by Richard Silverwood.
4, leave it! By the 10, go!
Plays the ball there, Westwood, to John Clark. He finds Rob Parker with the short ball. Ball goes to ground. It's picked up. Oh, it's a penalty for Warrington for offside.
Problem for Michael Warrancy in back play. There you can see him staggering all over the place. He doesn't know where it is, and that's another one down. There's Warrancy. He's just regaining his balance.
Joe Mabu it is, Steve-O.
Sorry, Mabu was it?
And that's Mel in there, isn't it? Yeah.
He's worked overtime.
Warrancy, to be fair, is the man who is having treatment, Steve-O.
Yeah, I think he was a one-way down in field. Just went in awkward.
Well, it's the walking wounded for Harlequins, because Melling needs a bit of running repairs also. And it comes back to the penalty for Warrington, which Monaghan dumps into touch. And here is Gleeson. This is Morley. Mark Gleeson again, good solid run at the middle.
That's what was needed.
Here's John Clark behind him, and here is Adrian Morley charging in at them. They're inching ever closer to that line. Mark Gleeson again. Randall all over him. 4 tackles gone, that's how close they are. And they were all offside because their boots were over the other side of the whitewash. Hicks gets it away to Paul Johnson, and Johnson scores for Warrington. And Johnson gives them a lifeline. They have withstood so much pressure on their own line, Warrington. But they've come up from that penalty, and they've got the try that gets them back in the hunt for the win.
And it got them into the position, mainly due to the fact of some beautiful drives by their forwards. Running from Mark Gleeson from the dummy half position. A couple of good runs by the skipper, Adrian Morley, and Johnson. The experience gets him over. This is what it meant to the crowd. They've had little to shout about here from their wonderful Wolves. And there is the experienced man, the second rower, Paul Johnson. Not the easiest of conversions, though.
No, not the easiest in these conditions. Chris Hicks hasn't managed to find the mark, but now he has. Listen to the crowd now as they rise for the last 10 minutes. It's 8-6 to Harlequins, but Warrington now know they're in with a real chance, courtesy of Johnson's try. What a great kick this is. What a great kick on a night like this.
Unbelievable.
Do you think he might get the job on a full-time basis?
Well, Lee Briers isn't the best, is he, to be fair, in the goal-kicking department?
It was great execution. But Paul Cullen, not only will he be happy with getting those extra 2 points, but I must say, it is a position that they've changed it around. We've been calling for the fact that they get back into the rhythm by just using runs from dummy half and the good hard work from the forwards. We saw that from Morley, and that's what they needed. They've gone back to basics. It's a thriller.
10 minutes left. Morley again, trying to drag Warrington up the other end of the field. Here is Parker. They've led for so long in this match, Harlequins, but now Warrington suddenly had the sniff of something. This is Anderson. Still a couple of changes left for both coaches in the last 10. Parker.
There's that short ball close to contact.
Warrington up to halfway on the fourth tackle. Over halfway with Morley. Drives it in again. Great run from the skipper. Last one though.
Got to be a good kick and chase.
Monaghan with the kick. Poor. Straight into the arms on that far side of Will Sharp. But the chase is okay. Westwood and Monaghan leading the way. Now they hunt the mistake, Warrington.
This is not so much about your body and fatigue, it's all about that mental stability. Can they hang on?
Good hit.
Can Warrington get the first and second markers working on this occasion? Remember, throughout this game, the Quins have found it pretty easy to get to the halfway line, and then have got away a good kick and chase. But they're struggling on this occasion.
They are, because that's the last. Great set of 6 for Warrington. 20 metres gained forward by Harlequins. The kick has to be good. It's with Henry Paul, and it's not a bad one. Kevin Penny makes sure he can pick it up safely. Does so. Oh, what a chase and what a hit. Henry Paul leading the way. Barker in there, and Joe Mabou in there. Here is Matt King.
You just sense that there's going to be a try still left in this game.
Parker. Tackled by Barker and Warrington. Mark Gleeson looks to the man Monaghan. Well, Monaghan though, great hit from Henry Paul again, and straight into the arms of Tony Clubb.
And he shakes the left wrist. That hurt him just as much as anything. But what a position and what a hit. And what despair on the face of Paul Cullen.
Been nothing in the matches we've seen this weekend so far, has there?
Well, not surprising, Eddie, because of the conditions.
I think tiredness as well is playing a part. These players, we forget, they played 3 games in 7 days. Tremendous effort from our players, and they deserve a hell of a lot of credit.
And so does Randall for that kick. Picked up by Chris Hicks behind his own try line.
Look who's there.
Oh, they've got the penalty. They've got the penalty, Warrington. They lifted the legs. If they'd have bounced and bumped in the way and across the line, that would have been different. But they lifted him up.
Yeah, sorry, Eddie.
Lifted him up.
Yeah.
There.
Yep, just at the end there. If they'd have squashed him down in the first instant. But what a night for this fella, Henry Paul. Nervous time for Brian McDermott, and he knows it.
Well, it would be a win if they survive against all the odds.
Look at the penalty count. 2-1. And
but only 18 of them, Steve-O, which is refreshing this year.
Well, it is in his second half. I think the referee, Silverwood, has realised both sets of, both sets of players, they're really out on their feet.
That was another magnificent run from Adrian Morley.
Just got to say that Adrian Morley's been a tower of strength for Warrington in the middle.
Here comes John Clark. Oh, it's a short pass. It was an impossible ball to Johnson. They're appealing for something. They're appealing for a knock-on.
Well, they tried to impress upon the official that it wasn't Johnson that knocked on, that it was a Quinn's hand.
Yes, that's what they were claiming.
But they just tried to force that ball a little bit too much. Good run from Clark. Good positioning by Rinaldi.
Here is Rinaldi again.
He's been outstanding, this guy. There's been some stars on both sides who have really rolled up their sleeves and put in some big efforts, including this fella, Haggerty.
Last tackle here for Harlequins. Randall hammers the ball towards Chris Hicks. Chris Hicks just pouches it, moves forward. Great effort again from Randall, following up his own kick. Gleeson.
It's getting into that area where it's going to become panic mode for the Wolves, where they've got to try something different. It's pretty difficult to do a grubber kick through on the ground, so it looks as though it's going to have to be a trip over the side.
Not standing square, Harlequins.
Oh, that could change it.
I'd like to go back and find the last penalty in this game when the markers weren't square. I think it was the first half.
He's just a little bit lazy there, Michael Warrington. Didn't realise that the man playing the football had just moved slightly. He should have altered it, but it was too late. Good position by the Wolves now.
This is Monaghan, and here is Chris Hicks. Opens up briefly for Hicks, then it's closed down very quickly. Henry Paul's all over him again. He's been everywhere tonight, Henry Paul. Monaghan gets the pass away, break check to Anderson. Anderson applies the brakes, comes back this way, finds Monaghan once more. Here is Johnson. Johnson's short ball. Westwood hangs on. They want to play the ball quickly, Warrington. Johnson once more. Johnson being ferried towards the sideline.
Excellent.
He's in touch. Wonderful defence.
They have scrambled. It's been a wonderful team effort. But all of a sudden, Warrington, they've just awoken. They realise they've got an opportunity. Paul Johnson, the man in the picture there.
Going back to the point that you made, Steve, about Warrington need to try something different. I'm not sure they do. I think they need to camp out on that line. And I think the next try, if there's a try scored, will come from a missed tackle rather than an offload.
Well, we've got 4 minutes to see whether we will get another try. It would be the match winner either way, obviously. This is Harlequins head and feet at the scrum. And the referee calls time on. Less than 4 minutes to go then now.
There was your push at the scrum, Steve-O.
They were trying.
Barker it was who held on. Henry Paul again. How many times have we mentioned that fella's name tonight? Rinaldi. Heroics from Harlequins. Warrington just piercing the defence once. Rinaldi again will trundle it forward. That's foregone.
Sensible play. Just try to make sure that probably mud in the eye from the Frenchman. That's not a bad kick.
It's an excellent kick because Hicks has to retreat and pick up. And the chase was good. This is Kevin Penny. Mark Gleeson. Westwood. Still Westwood. Time running out for Warrington. Needs something special here from Parker.
Fantastic
run.
Over
halfway.
Seconds are ticking away. They've got to get on with it.
Forward.
Oh, that's a mile forward.
Monaghan's pass was way forward.
He has created so much for this side since he arrived from Australia, and he realises that that may be the final opportunity. Good work from Chad Randall. He's had a tremendous match as well. It was all about trying to control the ruck area. The hardest work in the forwards, and I must say, If Warrington sneak this one, I think they can look upon themselves as being rather fortunate.
I think time's running out for them, Steve-O, I really do.
I think that Harlequins have been by far the better side. They've controlled it.
But they came here last year and won. Still the same score in the south of France as it was at half-time. This is Sharif.
I think Adrian Morley's had a good game for Warrington in the middle. He's just stuck the ball under his wing and ran at 100 miles an hour through that brick wall. Great game from him. Great way to lead his side.
Rinaldi gets to his feet slowly, plays it to Randall. Last tackle here for Harlequins.
Got to be into the corner.
Haggerty under pressure, and Kevin Penny. It's not a night for speedsters, but can Penny score a length of the field try? No. Not on this occasion anyway. Down he goes. Minute and a half.
Got to be careful that Harlequins don't give away a penalty. Field position is what the Warrington need.
And Johnson.
Got to be careful.
From Paul Johnson.
Haggerty thinking about just doing the flop, just decided against it at the final minutes.
Westwood.
Going into the final minute now.
Mark Gleeson waits a dummy half. 3 of Warrington's set gone here. They give it some air to Braycheck. That's a knock on. That's the game. That's the game for Harlequins. They're going to win this. Braycheck's knock on, and Harlequins know that that was the winning moment. The first home defeat of the season for Warrington Wolves here.
That's gone back.
I think the first impact is going forward, and then he has a second go for it. But
he's got his back to the post.
It was a big call there by Richard Silverwood.
30 seconds remaining.
Likewise, mate, likewise.
Warrington need to get the possession, but Barker will hold on. Barker will go to ground under pressure from Westwood. Henry Paul waits. Henry Paul has got all the experience in the world. He will go to ground as well. 5 seconds remaining. Harlequins have won a famous victory. Warrington second in the table, beaten by the Harlequins here for a second year in a row. First home defeat of the year for Warrington. A great win for Brian McDermott and Harlequins. Rinaldi, fantastic effort. Henry Paul, fantastic effort. The forwards battling away. Morley probably doesn't deserve to be on the losing side.
Tremendous effort though by the Quins. They were by far the better side as far as I'm concerned. He had a big game, did Morley. He tried everything. He certainly led by example, but the tactics from Brian McDermott in such awful conditions.
We need to know who your man of the match is, Steve-O.
Well, he finished up with a football right at the end, and it's a hooker that was playing half-back tonight. Julien Rinaldi, the Frenchman, outstanding. They run him close. Paul was superb. They all worked hard.
Well, Harlequins move to 5th in the table. A priceless victory for them here. Let's hear from the man of the match. He's in the company of the best man on our team as well, who speaks a bit of French. Bill.
Well, I think it's Julien Rinaldi underneath all that mud. Congratulations. Well, that, given the injuries you went into the game with tonight, that must go down as one of the greatest wins ever.
Yeah, man, we just did a great effort today. We had like three losses or 4 losses in a row, and we're really frustrated and disappointed. Probably at Bradford we just did a great performance but didn't get a result, so today we just come through with like young kids, and they proved today they have like really like a big heart to just play today.
That's what it needed tonight, wasn't it? I mean, given these conditions.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just hard to play footy today with the condition here, and we just try hard and just like really just play with the big heart and enthusiastic, and it's just perfect today.
Good. Must have been a bit nail-biting towards the end, though.
I know, but you know, it's just a footy. You can't just play there, come here, and just come back outside and just be nice. You know, it's just bad time sometimes on the field, and like you just do it, and you play on.
Well done tonight, Julian. Congratulations.
I want to say hello to all my family and friends and all in Australia too. Thank you very much, Bill.
Before you go, you get £100 to give to a charity of your choice. Any ideas?
I don't know, mate, but I think I will go to Mark Gregory charity.
Good idea.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Well done tonight.
Thank you.
Let's bring another one of the Quins heroes on the night in. Mike, great week for the Warrington brothers.
Oh yeah, it was. It's good.
Rob got 2 last night, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did. He went all right. It's good to see him playing at level and on telly as well. He went real good, so I'm proud of him. Good to see us both on telly on the same night, same weekend.
Now, the thing about this Harlequins side tonight is the number of homegrown players. From that point of view, this is a very good period for the club, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's good to see the likes of Clubby. We've got young Will Sharp made his debut today, coming through the ranks. John Mabou. It's just good for London to see that we can actually develop young players and they can come through the ranks and play first grade down there.
And to come here to beat Warrington, who've been going so well this season on their own pitch.
Yeah, they're second in the league, I believe. So it's great to come up and beat a top 2 team. And I just think we just dug in and we held our own and we defended hard and just held on into the end.
You must have been running out of steam at the end because it was going is so heavy.
Yeah, it was. It was penalty after penalty. We piggybacked them down our end of the field, and we just defended really strong, and we kept it together, and it's happened for us in the night.
Well done tonight.
Cheers, Bill. Cheers, pal.
Yeah, well done, Michael Warrington. Tremendous win for Harlequins, 8 points to 6. Nothing in the game, of course, because of the conditions, but Harlequins up to 5th in the table now, and that's confirmation of it. Warrington still leading the chasing pack, but Wigan now breathing down their necks, and St Helens a couple of points away from them, as are Harlequins. Hull KR will play tomorrow. There might be a real logjam developing behind the Leeds Rhinos at the top of the table. Well, that's a fantastic win for Leeds, for Harlequins, that, isn't it? Because it means that Leeds will finish the weekend with a 4-point advantage, courtesy of that gutsy display from them in similar conditions to this at St Helens last night. Have we ever, Phil, had a worse weekend of weather in the 12 years of Super League?
Possibly not, but I think that all the coaches are aware that they may be a leveller, and they probably Warrington fans go home and think that they were. But I think that the Harlequin side probably came with a game plan and adapted to the conditions and were more willing to slog it out down the middle of the field than Warrington were. Late on in the second half, we saw Morley come up with some amazing charges down centre field, but by that time it made it difficult. There was never going to be much in the game, and there wasn't, was there, a 2-point gap? But I suppose that you bounce the ball and let an element of luck. And Gareth Haggerty might not be the fittest prop in this competition, but he is one of the fastest, and he is one of the few players who could have taken that interception at that point of the field and got across the try line. Yeah,
Warrington will say they gifted Harlequins their try, but you have to be in the position to capitalise on little errors like that from the opposition. Steve, I know you gave the man of the match to Julian Rinaldi, and there's no complaints about that, but I'm just looking at the age of Henry Paul, 34 years of age. It could easily have gone to him as well.
Well, it was a tremendous effort by all the Harlequins side, and I must say that you've got to give credit to their coach. Brian McDermott, absolutely superb with the fact so many of the star players out, and you've got to look towards the people that have got all the influence. I mean, I must say that they started out, okay, they had a little bit of a luck with Haggerty, but he had to put himself in the position to take the inside ball. He just knew that Monaghan was going to try looking for Anderson on the inside. They worked very well. They had an opportunity here. Look as Penny kicks the ball. It just doesn't go right for him. And in conditions like this, you have to take your opportunity. This was only the first clear-cut chance. It was good work by Paul Johnson. Took up the pressure, sidestep. The defender went through for him, and it was there for the taking. And this said it all. Was it a knock-on? I think it went backwards. It didn't matter. With only seconds remaining, it was a tremendous effort. I think this will go down as probably one of the Harlequins' best ever wins. 12 British players out there, without the likes of McClendon, Orr and Hill, without their leadership. But when you look at Rinaldi and the way that Randall played, and of course Henry Paul, they just guided them. And all the youngsters, all they had to do, and they would keep telling them, right, pass the ball, no. Take the ball up over the advantage line, yes. Simple, basic, but boy, wasn't it effective.
It was effective. It's a tremendous win for Harlequins, this, and I think we can talk to Brian McDermott, the coach who is over in the dressing room area right now. Brian, many congratulations Steve-O's just said that that possibly is your best ever win as a club. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, it's up there because of who we didn't have in the team, and I don't want to detract anything away from the players that were in the dressing rooms there, but that's a pretty big one, yeah.
Massive, and I know that you're so proud of the fact that you've got so many young British players doing the business for you tonight.
Yeah, big air that in it. You know, we've got Michael Warrington there, Will Sharp, Tony Clubb, and we've, you know, there's a few more coming through, and it's just huge that those fellas can go up to a place like Warrington and do a job. It's big for the game, I think.
It's massive, and it's massive for your club, and you're changing the culture of Harlequins gradually, aren't you? I mean, it was the resting place, as far as some were concerned, when you got there, for the old Australians. But not anymore. You were fashioning a side in your own image.
Yeah, I think I'm continuing a lot of good work done by Tony Ray, and what we've got at the moment is a group of people that have got a lot of drive, and you know, there's some people that want to prove a point, whether they're at the start of their career or coming towards the back end and maybe win some things, who knows. So it's a good feeling about the place at the moment, but you know, let's bring it back down to earth. It's only worth 2 points, and we've needed that because we've just come off the back of 3 losses there.
Brian, you could have won a lot more this year, but before the season started, not many people gave you any chance whatsoever. It must be very pleasing for you to prove them wrong.
Yeah, Steve, that would suggest that I read the papers or listen to what you people say on telly. You've
got to feel proud about this effort.
Listen, if we'd have lost tonight, I'd have been very proud. There's no doubt about that. If Warrington would have scored a late try there in the game, I'd probably be saying the exact same things. That to come up here again with a few of our leaders out is huge, and whether we got the result or we didn't get the result, I just thought we performed really well. I just caught the back end of what you were saying. I'd put the headphones on about that. We kept it simple. That was no master game plan. That's all you could do here tonight, was just try and keep it simple. But the temptation for the boys to play and try and push that extra pass, I didn't think we had that tonight. I thought we kept our heads on.
Brian, your side had a real problem in the second half of games last season. You seem to have eradicated that this year.
Yeah, it's a bit of a scary start from last year that we just didn't score any points, and we never scored any points this half either.
But you didn't capitulate, did you? And that had been a problem last season.
Yeah, it's probably that we concede a lot without scoring points is the scary stat from last year, and throughout the games this year, win or lose, we're playing a bit more adventurous, and you know, the grumpy bloke like myself, I'm letting the boys do a little bit more with the ball in hand, which we've certainly got the talents to do that, and it's paying off for us at the moment.
Brian, Steve-O's given the Man of the Match award to Julian Rinaldi. It could easily have gone to Henry Paul. Now, he's 34 years young, and I know you don't want him to go at the end of the season, do you? You're desperately trying to keep him.
No, that's right. Henry will make his own decision at the end of the year, and he's got, I reckon he's got another couple of years left in him playing some sort of sport, whether it's rugby league or not. But what we'd lose with Henry if he's not in the team, it's not just ball in hand what he gives you, just the bloke about the place. He's still, when he gets on the rower or pushing the weights, he's still coming in the top 2 or 3 of the leaders of the squad, and he's still as fit and as hungry to play the game, and I just tip my hat to him to be that old. And listen, the bloke's won everything in both codes, and he's still got a desire to keep on going. So I think they cracked the mould there when they made a bloke like him.
Absolutely. Just one final point before you leave us, Brian. It was a night for pulled muscles, for twisted ankles, for drowning in the mud. I mean, we know you've lost John Wells. Surely your injury list doesn't get any worse than that, does it?
Well, our squad's been well used tonight, and I think it's going to be well used next week, and it's great. It's great that we can use the squad and not have to get loan deals in and not be fearing that we're all going to be unemployed at the end of the year, because the governing body have made a real smart decision and got rid of relegation. And win or lose, it's good that the young fellas played tonight, and I don't know if you can do that with that silly rule in place.
Brian, many congratulations. Wonderful night. Enjoy the trip back. I think you'll have fun.
Yeah, we'll have a good time. Cheers, thanks.
Good-o. Always a delight to talk to him. He's a down-to-earth, he's a gritty character, he's got his own values, and he transfers those to his players. I mean, that was a wholehearted effort from the Quins tonight.
Well, they're a third of the way through the season, and they're in the top 6, and realistically, if they continue to win more games than they lose, then they'll feature in the playoffs, which is a massive effort.
He's absolutely right. Nobody in this game believed that Harlequins, a third of the way through the season, would be 5th in the table. None of us.
No, but we've been in this game long enough to know that every year there's a surprise. Whether it's a player moving, a coach moving, a team outperforming or underperforming, it always happens. Every single year there's a massive surprise in the game. and maybe this year it could be Harlequins doing well in the playoffs.
You never know. As you can see, Hull have just scored again in the match in the south of France. There's a kick to come there, 24-20. I mean, you just cannot predict this year, can you?
No, and I think that Brian McDermott said something very, very important there in regards to no relegation. You made reference to the fact that there is no panic, there's no going down to New Zealand or Australia or bringing some extra players in. You are now forced to give your youngsters this opportunity. And after what we've witnessed tonight, he can feel very proud, but so can the youngsters down from that London area, because it's growing, it's bigger, it's getting better. And within the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they are going to be so strong down in London. They're going to take some beating. And they've shown the guts and determination tonight. And it's wonderful that Rugby Football League, they did realise that they had to get rid of relegation. You look through the entire season this year, and the amount of youngsters that will just bounce out of nowhere. And that's what they've done at the Harlequins. And I'm very proud to think that I'm part of a great game like that is giving the opportunity for the youngsters in our game.
As you can see, Hull have scored with the conversion, and you're getting the information on the screen now of where to pick up all the details of the Catalan Dragons against Hull final score. Just one final point, Phil. We've talked a lot about Harlequins. Warrington would be desperately disappointed. Paul Cullen would be heartbroken.
Yeah, they will, but I think they're realistic enough. They conceded one try through an interception, and it was a night which was going to go either way. I think you've just got to accept throughout the course of the season there'll be events like that happen. The weather dictates that the game doesn't go in your favour. You've got to pick yourselves up, dust yourself down, and get ready for next game.
That's what Warrington will do, and I'm sure the groundsman here will try and get this pitch back to some sort of normality. Lots more live action tonight on Sky Sports, on Sky Sports Extra now. A Spanish football double-header, Real Betis against Barcelona, followed by Villarreal Atletico Madrid. And from midnight, here on Sky Sports 2, it's the IndyCar racing from Miami. Now then, Wednesday, we will reflect this muddy weekend in boots and all. 6 o'clock Sky Sports 2, 8 o'clock on Sky Sports Extra. Thursday, Northern Rail Cup action from Barrow and Batley. Friday, Huddersfield Catalan. They're the matches over the weekend. Extra time on Friday after that. And Leeds Wigan this time next week. Please, get the prayer mats out. Let's have a dry weekend next week. Enjoy British summertime from tomorrow. Bye-bye.
I watch all of the same parades as they pass on days that you wish you'd stay. All this pain gets me high, and I get off, and you know why. So when you think you need to go, if you want it to be real, there's one thing you need to know, and that's that you can't count on me. So if you think you need to go, if you want it to be real.
Let's go, Haggerty! Fantastic try for Haggerty. Great win for Brian McDermott.
More sport, news and views at skysports.com.
In nearly 2/3 of matches, the team that scores the first try will win the game. Sky Bet. It matters more when there's money on it.
Passion, intensity, and dominance.
A triple threat match for the WWE title at WrestleMania 24.
The unstoppable John Cena.
Damn it, I'm going to WrestleMania.
The King of Kings, Triple H.
And Tagliafico is very quick. Coley gets to him.
I just get into top gear there. There's a prop forward in front of him. Tajalala may not be fully fit.
I think he tried to, Steve-O, and I think you have to credit Coley for the defence.
No, I think he turned into him rather than try to strip him away. It was a good take.
Well, not standing square at the play of the ball. We're going to penalised again.
What about Thomas Lulai on that challenge with Sam Burgess? Here we see. I don't know, I think Andy Coley spent most of his career in the back row, so he's got a bit of pace.
Yeah, but he stopped it. Tajalala should have gone.
Here's Feather, whose try has certainly given Bradford a little bit of hope, even though they've conceded one since. That was Lynch. This is Deacon, and Gareth Hock. His long arms came out and enveloped the scrum half.
I've been impressed with the way that Brian Noble has done his interchange as well. They really have shared the work, Wigan.
Harris will go down the short side. Gets the ball away to Shontaine Hartby. Oh, he's gone without it. Knock on.
He was just trying to struggle away from the would-be tackler so he could get his arms free to lunge. Look at him. But he just lost control of it.
Did Trent Barrett read that?
No, deliberate risk. He's gone to
It's up to the ball carrier to keep control.
No, I was losing it before then, sadly.
He was losing it before that shot, but Trent Barrett, as we see here, he's got the top of the ball. There you go.
Yeah, you might be right, Barry.
It's not often I'm wrong, mate.
Too true.
Unlike others.
This is where
did Wigan get away with that?
Yeah, they did, but even so, they'll muscle up for this one.
Bradford, it's only 10 points, and there are 11 minutes remaining. And they know that 3 years ago, they managed it here to come back from the dead. Great harassing by Langley and Harris and co. The injury news from Bradford, Steve-O. Here's Bill.
Yeah, it's not good news on Big Joe. Was an indication that they might be trying to get him back on, but they've had another look, and it could be a possible fracture. The right forearm. He's going to need an X-ray later on. He looks grim for the Bulls.
It does. There are some broken bones, some fractures, some nasty injuries after just 4 weeks of the campaign. Good kick from Barrett. Deep. Evans collects it. Good chase. Carmont and also Harrison Hansen.
It's been great shape by this Wigan defence. Very rare throughout this game they've been sucked out of that one line. Kept the composure, moved as a unit, and when need be, they finish the man off. It's been very difficult for the Bulls to offload.
Generally, since that sort of avalanche of penalties early in the first half, both sides have been really disciplined, haven't they?
Well, have they, or has the referee just chosen to penalise less?
That's a matter of opinion. Oh dear, the one from Deacon went backwards, the one from Sam Burgess went forwards to knock on.
And you can see how the pitch is now cutting up. That was okay. That wasn't. He knows it.
He's furious with himself, Sam.
He's worked hard. Everybody out on the field has had to work hard. It's been one of those nights.
He's the 2007 Young Player of the Year, is Sam Burgess, and guess who won that way back in 1983? Brian Noble, the Wigan coach.
Come on, guys. Wait, Thomas. That's it. Right time back on. Out.
This is Luluai. Mathers was hit immediately by Jeffries.
Release, Jamie. Wait. Go.
This is Luluai again, trying to go up the middle.
Get square, Andy.
Brian Noble will be happy with his scrum house performance tonight, mainly because when they had to dig deep, they needed someone out there just to control it. His kicking game in the second half into this left-hand side corner has just pegged the Bulls back time and time again.
Barrett just flicks the ball to Andy Coley. Down he goes under challenge from Lynch. Here is McAloran. There's the ball to Harrison Hansen. He hangs on. There's the last one. They're coming down this left channel, and it is Carmont again. That's good defence from Bradford. Superb. Absolutely superb. Evans was there, and so too was Paul Sykes.
10-10.
Credit to both sides. Wigan trying to take advantage of that short blind side. They've got to test their arm now at Bradford. They've got to come up with something different. They know that. 10 points adrift.
You probably work to a 40-20 play here. It's unlikely you're going to score from this part of the field, but maybe set for to give yourself the opportunity.